Welcome back, everyone. I'm Zell, and today we're going to get a look at the WE Knife Company Vapor. So this is the Vapor. This is the first of the small WE knives that we're going to get a look at, and man, is it a beauty. I just love these blue scales and the carbon fiber. I even like the black blade against it, even though if I were going to buy one, I would probably get the stonewash blade. But let's get into it. First, we'll get a good look at the knife. We've got carbon fiber inlay here. One thing they've done here, they've left this carbon fiber just a little bit proud all the way around and softened all those edges. And, you know, that's a smart idea. It gets rid of problems with sharp edges in the carbon fiber if you don't get it fully seated. But it looks pretty even all the way around and is just, well, very nice. We got carbon fiber. We got titanium torque screws. We'll get a look at those after a bit. And we've got a lanyard hole up here. And we have, see those two empty screw holes there? Those are so you can set this thing up, tip up, left or right hand. How many of you been asking for that? Ooh. As we roll it around to the backside, we have a carbon fiber backspacer. Very, very nice piece of carbon fiber. If you go back to the What's Inside video, you can get a good look at that. And on this side, we have a pocket clip that I accidentally called, I shouldn't say accidentally, I believed that I had read that it was carbon fiber, and apparently I was seriously mistaken. That pocket clip is titanium, they're just all black. Very nice pocket clip, tip up, left or right. And we've got some jimping right here, not terribly aggressive. We got some, what I would call soft jimping across this piece of carbon fiber. And we've got a little bit of jimping up the thumb ramp on the blade. Dimension-wise, we're at 3.85 inches long, a handle thickness of a slightly chubby 0.56. But I'm not complaining about that. A closed height of 0.125 because of our thumb ramp and slightly stylistic blade hole there in the, I say slightly, very stylistic blade hole in the blade. And we have an open overall length of 6.8 inches. So pretty small knife. Our edge length, we'll just go ahead and get that out of the way, is 2.95 inches. So just under 3 inches for all those places that have that 3-inch blade law, lets you slide in right under it, and that is my measurement, which matched up perfectly with what we had. And let's get one more close look at it. I don't know if we can get, yeah, there we go. Blade is centered up just like it should be. And just, well, this is my favorite look on these knives. Man, that blue and black is beautiful. However, I'd probably get the stonewash blade just because. WE's black coating works extremely well. I would just get the black blade because it doesn't have a coating on it. And it's S35VN, so it doesn't need a coating on it. And that just makes the knife run smoother because there's no black stuff under the detent ball or anywhere else. But this one runs pretty good, and let's get some size comparison done. And we're going to run some smaller knives through here because, well, it's a small knife. There is your CRKT pillar. Here is a Viper Vox Lil. Another knife we'll be looking at here really soon. I don't have the Goblin up here, but I do have an Imp. Now, all these other knives I just showed you, I would put in the little big knife category. Not this one. This one is a general EDC knife. It just happens to be small. We'll also lay the Viator, or not Viator. Did I say Viator? I should not have said Viator because the Viator's over here. Maybe I was looking at it. No, that is a rectifier and a Wisp. Now, the Wisp is the largest of them. These two both have 2.95-inch blades. One of them at 144 and some change, and the other one at 244 and some change. And this one also 244 and some change, but it's a slightly bigger knife at 3.2 inches in blade length. And there you go. We'll get our standards out real quick, just so I don't even know if they'll fit on the screen the way we've got this set up. Nope, they're not going to fully fit on the screen. But just to show you that this is a really small knife. And we've got a Delica over here. It's pretty much in line with the size of the Delica. Slightly shorter blade, slightly shorter in spine-to-spine height. Whenever I say spine-to-spine, I'm talking spine of the blade to spine of the handle. And from here, we'll go to our pause and read card, and then I'll be right back with you. Alright guys, the blade is a piece of S35VN that sucks up all the light because it's black DLC coated. We do have a blade hole in it. It's a standard egg-shaped hole that's we's used on several other blades. We're swedged all the way across the top. And we have a, depends on the size of your hand, whether that is a forward finger choil or a sharpening choil. We'll get more into that here in a minute. And it is hollow ground. Now I can already hear you guys out there, about, I don't know, 30 or 40 of you going, oh my god, it's hollow ground. Why do they have to do hollow ground? Why can't they do flat ground? I want a flat ground blade. Okay, fine. Do you understand why? I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm going, wow, they did a hollow grind. It's really nice and thin, and that's a beautiful thing, the right grind in the right place. And it is. So what do you really get here? Well, to start off with, the blade stock is 0.12 thick. I actually measured 0.124, but 0.12412 thick. That makes that blade stock really thin. Then we hollow grind it. And whenever we hollow grind it, we make that edge thickness even thinner. And here we go. I hate doing this on camera. I hate doing it at all. But there is your behind the edge thickness because it's hollow ground. And I've been feeling around on this a lot and trying to get a feel for how they hollow ground this thing. And here's what you're going to get as you sharpen this knife. Initially, your first couple of sharpenings, it's that behind the edge thickness is going to get just a smidge thicker. I'm talking thousandths thicker. And then it's going to get thinner for several sharpenings. And then after that, of course, it's going to start to get thicker. And on a small slicing knife that's designed to be an everyday carry knife, that is a beautiful thing. Now, if you took a flat ground blade, let's see, we'll just throw the lil out here. This guy, I believe, is pretty thin behind the edge. It's not as thin, but we're at 20 thousandths. But it's flat ground. Every time you sharpen this knife, it gets thicker behind the edge, because it's flat ground. That is one of the differences. The other difference here is whenever you go to slice through material, that blade being concave like that, material gets shoved off this way and doesn't tend to stick to the blade as bad. Another advantage to the hollow grind on a light duty blade. And that's what we've got here. So for all you guys that are always whining about hollow ground blades, well, maybe the knife's not made for you. Or maybe you just need to consider the use case for the knife before you just say, all I want is flat ground. You know, Spyderco has taught us in many ways that we want flat ground everything. Why? Because your Delica proved to be one of the best production slicers and has been for a long time. And what is it? It's a super high flat grind. But as companies get out here, and more of them are doing really great grinds and using really great hollow grinds, I think that we should be looking at those, using them, and seeing what we think, instead of just going by what Spyderco's taught us over the past, ever since what, the late 80s. So there you go. That's my thoughts on the hollow ground blade. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it works great. I think we has done a great job of getting it thin behind the edge and giving you the proper grind for the proper knife. Now, let's talk about the mechanical bits here. And really, there's nothing to talk about, because if you look at the what's inside video, everything that's inside this knife is exactly what you're going to find in a full-size WE knife. You've got your steel lock bar inserts. You've got bearings. You've got stainless hardened backing washers. You've got stop pin right there. You've got everything that you would expect to find in that full-size knife. And that's a beautiful thing. Now, hardware-wise, we will check the screws. Let me grab our Scout Leather Company driver and our WeHaw bit. and we'll throw that in right there. And as always, WE has very tight tolerances on their screws. I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming they're broaching those screws, the star area in the screw, instead of milling them, which is the right thing to do if you want tight screws. And that's what they've got, and they, of course, work great. Now, ergonomically, remember what I said earlier about that finger choil? Well, the handle itself is very good. I can feel the pocket clip, but the pocket clip is chamfered, so it's not something that's going to bother me doing a lot of cuts. I can get it in just about any grip I want to. There you go. I like those pinch grips because of that blade hole, which we'll talk about again here in a minute too. But this forward finger choil for my medium-large hands puts me in this place where, you know, look, I could come pretty close to cutting myself on that thing. Now, I've also heard feedback from some people with small hands, and they say, oh no, you just got big hands, hush up. Because that thing is perfect for me. Okay, so, you know, hand size makes a difference with this finger choil, obviously. And I'm glad that they spoke up and didn't let me just fuss about it, because, well, you know, it's better to kind of get that thing out there for everybody and considering your hand size and all that kind of stuff. And now, for one thing I have already heard in more than one place, and people, come on, let's think about this. This knife was designed with a blade hole. The blade hole is not only for aesthetics, but it is for opening the knife. Oh, no, I hear it. That almost hurt, guys. You're trying to say that you cannot spidey flick that knife. Well, duh. I know I can't spidey flick this knife. To maintain flipping action, we have a snug, not super tight, but snug lock bar. And this thing flips like a rocket. You know, you got your light switch there. You can push button it if you want to. Flips like a freaking rocket, and it's a beautiful thing. Can it be spidey flicked? No. The knife is way too small in my hands to be spidey flicked. Frankie might be able to pull it off, but I'm never going to be able to pull it off. The blade hole is in the wrong place, and it is not designed as a knife to spidey flick. What is this knife designed as? What are those blade holes there for? Are they just there for their birdish good looks? There I am referencing Frankie again, but I guess Bird, not Frankie that time. No, that's not the only reason they're there. Here is the reason it has a blade hole. You're carrying this knife in the office, right? Because small knife, a lot of them are going to end up in offices. You need to open this knife and take care of that envelope or whatever, cutting your apple, but you don't want to freak out the whole break room or the whole office. See that? You can reach around this knife, pinch that hole, break that detent, open this knife and lock it up without making a ridiculous amount of noise. And I know we all want to spidey flicker knives, but that's the reality of this blade hole. You know, it's much like what Bestech did with the Imp and the Goblin. No blade hole here, but there's enough blade sticking up that it's easy to just roll that knife out and let it lock up and not freak out the natives. So that's the reason for the blade hole. It's not a spidey flicker, and it just won't do it. So let's get one last good look at this knife before we sign off. And it is a beautiful, beautiful knife. And, you know, for those of you that want this knife, I talked about in the Apex the other day the price of the knife. The price of the knife is not out of line for the intended customer. If you're feeling like the price is too high, I hate to tell you this, and I know it sounds mean, but you're not the intended customer. The intended customer for this knife are the people out there that live in places where they want something like this 704 BLK that's got a 3.6 or 7 inch blade, because they want those materials, they want that look, they want that build quality, and they don't want compromises like a lot of companies do on small knives, but that's all they're finding. So what did we do, and what has Reich done, and what has Bestech done, and what have a handful of other companies done? They have brought 2.95 inch or smaller blades that are built just like the big knives, just as pretty, just as much design time put in them, just as much milling time put in them, just as much, well, not as much material, obviously, but whenever we talk about the material costs, whenever you're buying in such bulk, you know, we're talking pocket change and material cost differences between this knife at 3.5 inches and this knife at 3 inches. So I don't think the pricing is out of line for those that are looking for a knife like this. Is it for me? Well, I wish it was, but no, it's really not for me. There's another one of the 3 knives that we came out with that is perfect for me, and we'll get to that one here soon. But for a lot of you out here, man, this is a beautiful knife, and you guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.